Hello, my name is Rana, and today I wanted to guide you through a poem called A Carcass by Charles Baudelaire. The reason I chose this poem is because I think it's one of the early poems that brought new ways of thinking about things, or maybe for those of you who know what defamiliarization is, kind of started shocking us by changing our view of what we already knew before. Now, we'll go through why I like this poem later on, but for now, I just wanted to show you this. This is the translation that I'm using right now. It's a cutie, honestly. It's the translation is good. I never thought I would enjoy the translation this much. Now, it's by James McGuan, and what I really like about this edition is that you have the French version, the basically Charles Baudelaire's version on to your left, and you have your translation to your right. So I find that really helpful, and for me especially because French is not my first language, and neither is English, but I'm more familiar with English and French. I like to have them both, and sometimes I like to compare them. And I feel like it's interesting. It gives me new ways of thinking about things myself. So let's just get into it, and I will explain more towards the end after reading the poem, of course. Remember, my love, the object we saw, the beautiful morning in June, by a bend in the path, a carcass reclined on a bed sown with pebbles and stones. Her legs were spread out like a lecherous whore, sweating out poisonous fumes, who opened in slick invitational style her stinking and festering womb. The sun on this rottenness focuses rays to cook the cadaver till done, and render to nature a hundredfold gift of all she'd united in one. And the sky cast an eye on this marvelous meat, as over the flowers in bloom. The stench was so wretched that there on the grass you nearly collapsed in a swoon. The flies buzzed and droned on these bowels of filth, where an army of maggots arose, which flowed like a liquid and thickening stream on the animate rags of her clothes. And it rose and it fell, and pulsed like a wave, rushing and bubbling with health. One could say that this carcass, blown with vague breath, lived in increasing itself. And this whole teeming world made a musical sound, like babbling brooks and the breeze, or the grain that a man with a winnowing fan turns with a rhythmical ease. The shapes wore away as if only a dream, like a sketch that is left on the page, which the artist forgot and can only complete on the canvas with memory's aid. From back in the rocks, a pitiful bitch eyed us with angry disdain, awaiting the moment to snatch from the bones the morsel she had dropped in her haste. And you, in your turn, will be rotten as this, horrible, filthy, undone. O son of my nature and star of my eyes, my passion, my angel and one. Yes, such will you be, O regent of grace, after the rites have been read, under the weeds, under the blossoming grass, as you molder with the bones of the dead. And then, O my beauty, explain to the worms who cherish your body so fine that I am the keeper for corpses of love, of the form and the essence divine. Oh, damn, that was a good poem. I'm gonna go through why and in what ways that was a good poem, but before we continue, I just wanted to go through some of the words here. Well, English is not my first language, and I always find it more difficult to go through, to basically read a poem and understand a poem if I don't understand some of the words. Now, of course, I think it's T.S. Eliot who says that a good poem communicates before it's understood. And I totally agree with that. But this, well, I think it's a good idea just to do this before we get started. Anywho, the first two words, the first who open in slick invitational style. Basically, the word slick means effortless. Okay. Oops. Effortless. Okay. So slick means effortless. A festering wound. Now, the word festering itself, to fester, means to rot. Okay. Um, what I like about the word festering is that you can use it to describe a wound as well. So a festering wound would be one with an infection, the one that doesn't look good. Yeah, let's stop it there. Okay, highlight. In a soon. Okay. You nearly collapsed in a soon. I really like this. Basically to soon means to collapse, to faint. Okay. So as a verb, the word soon, oops, means to faint. Okay. But you could also say to fall down in a swoon or collapse in a swoon. It will be the same thing. So down, down, down. Regent of grace. Now, basically, a regent is supposed to be a temporary king or a queen, or basically a temporary decision maker in a country. But I think here is just like regent of grace, like the king or queen, So regent, I'm just gonna say king or queen. In this case, a queen actually, because yeah. As you molder with the bones of the dead, again, the word molder, or MOL with it, in the American spelling, just means to rot. Yeah. So now that that's done, we can actually go through the poem itself. Okay. So first off, I want to start with what's there and the easiest to understand. This is a disgusting poem, right? I mean, when I first read it, I was like, I feel like something smells like a dead body. It's filthy, it's hideous, it's all that he's describing. So we have a lot of lines that point to this, like the carcass itself at the beginning, on a bed sown with pebbles and stones. It's kind of reminds us of a deathbed, right? But a deathbed in nature, sweating out poisonous fumes, stinking and festering womb, like ew. To cook the cadaver till done. Now, um this is talking about the human body as if it were meat, just meat, and ready to be, let's say, kind of like a steak, ready to be eaten, cut by the nature. In the French version, what I like is that you have, when you say comme afin de la cuire à point, you have the idea of cooking a steak. Of course, in English is there as well, but if I think if you don't mention it, maybe it's not really easy to understand. I think that's why the translator later on says this marvelous meat, whereas in the French version, you don't have the word meat there. Never really specifies meat, even in the French version. Okay, so the stench, so basically the stinking body was so wretched that there on the grass, you to that you fainted. And what I like about this type of fainting, like in a swoon, is that it's a word that is mostly used when you're overwhelmed by an emotion. In this case, I guess the person is disgusted by this dead body. Now, of course, again, we have the flies, the maggots, float like a liquid and thickening stream. And all of this is just horrifying. And here, the shapes wore away as if only a dream, like a sketch that is left on the page. Basically, this body, this person being forgotten, going away, it's goodbye. I really like this because it's not necessarily disgusting in itself, but it's filled with death, in the way that it depicts going away, fading away, disappearing from this earth. Another thing I wanted to say about this is that we'll have to go back to it because although we have this wear away, we have this going away, fading away, I think there's more to this stanza than what we see here. Okay, so you have, yeah, again, words like hard, filthy, undone, and molder with the bones of the dead. Okay, clear. This poem is filled with death and all the horrible images that we, let's say, associate with death. Now, the next part is how nature doesn't care. Of course, we can see it in the beautiful morning in June. The sun on this rottenness focuses rays. But specifically here, when he says, and the sky cast an eye on this marvelous meat as over the flowers in bloom, as if there's no difference between the two. Like flowers in bloom and this marvelous meat, this corpse, basically, they seem to be the same for nature, for the sky. Later on, we have from back in the rocks, a pitiful bitch eyed us with angry disdain, and basically this dog that comes to snatch the bones. Um, well, again, another way of saying that nature just wants this body to be gone because this body is useless. Um, very, very beautifully described, I would say. So death being like basically fading away, nature doesn't care. But on the other hand, we also have interesting, I would say more shocking images to come. This poem, against, let's say, the indifference of nature, against the indifference of death itself, brings life and mixes the images of birth and anything that is related to birth, like sexual activity, to this death. It's kind of like force of life against force of death. Second stanza, we have her legs were spread out like a lecherous whore. So basically, this image could be interpreted as a woman in in sexual activity, or to me, it could also mean that this woman could be just giving birth, Yes, it is invitational style, but also something is coming out of her womb, okay? It's stinking and festering womb. I like the word in French. I think, yeah, the word that he uses in French, he doesn't basically say stinking and festering womb. He uses words, he uses the word ventre plein d'exhalaison. So basically, a belly filled with gas, exhalation. Okay. So, in that sense, to me, it could be the bloating body, of course, but also a bloated body that is giving birth. It's a very interesting image. Lower here. Again, another image of birth, but not the kind of birth you would imagine. It rose and it fell and pulsed like a wave, rushing and bubbling with health. One could say that this carcass, blown with vague breath, lived in increasing itself. So, when we think of a dead body, we think of maggots that are eating it. But in this image, it's basically the dead body that is giving birth to maggots and all these other, let's say, insects. Basically nature itself. So dead body is increasing itself is, yes, it's bloating, but also, yes, it's giving something to nature. Um, Here, again, another very interesting image is that, yes, we have an artist who has a sketch and the image is forgotten, but the artist is going to paint this image, even though with memory's aid, on the canvas later on. Okay, so yes, this image is forgotten. Yes, this is just a sketch. So basically, this body, this woman, this person is being forgotten, but it's as if she'll be adapted again, as if she'll live again, but with a slightly or with a changed form. Uh, okay, this one, who charged your body so fine? Now again, um, when we see this, explain to the worms who cherish your body so fine, we have an image of worms and a woman. So basically, in this case, the lover of or the person he's speaking to, being loved and being in an act of love with worms. In the French version, we actually have the kisses of these worms, but I also like the English translation. Now, the end really does it. It makes it an amazing poem because it's kind of like how um, Shakespeare, a lot of poets would say, you know what, you'll die, but I will keep your image. I, the writer. It's the same, but it's in a different way. I am the keeper for corpses of love. Um, so basically, the poet being the person who keeps that beauty of the form and the essence divine. Also, I like the word form because it kind of suggests that the beauty of love and the beauty of what dies stays in the form of, let's say, an artistic product. It could be, of course, a painting, as he says earlier, it could be the poem itself, and the essence divine. Well, so basically the divine essence of love is in the form, is in the poem, is in basically in the artificial words or the artificial process of creating or recreating the dead body. So great poem. We agree. I agree. You agree. We all agree. Thank you. And I will see you in the next video for the next poem. Thank you.